YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. Today, people, today we here for Avataro Sentai Donbrothers episode 48, and this is a very triumphant kind of episode. The heroes come together in this episode as well. I love this episode. It's actually pretty freaking good, as is a lot of Donbrothers is actually pretty freaking good. So in this episode, we basically start off from when we see we see Kijino and Taro were captured by the two Hitotsuki, and while they were captured, we see that the rest of everybody else, the rest of everybody else is trying to formulate some kind of plan to take out the other Sayoshi's Cerebrant, or his crew of Cerebrant. So they kind of get into a little argument, and we get to the point where even Tsubasa is like, man, he's regretting actually finding out about everybody. He's regretting to being a part of this team and finding out everybody was everybody. And he's like, I was better off not knowing who you guys even were. And we see that later on in the episode that when he's with Natsumi, we see that the misfortune is starting to affect him, where he has been deemed a fugitive again after being a free man for a while. He's been deemed a fugitive again, and now he doesn't have his freedom right now, and he's being pursued by the police again. And we see that he's running from the police with Natsumi, and that's when we see Sonoe. Sonoe actually comes and saves him from the cops, basically distracting them. And we see that Natsumi is asking him what's going on, like, why are you considered a fugitive and stuff. And I hate this kinds of stuff where it's just like, you can't just go, like, you want this girl back so freaking bad, and you did all this stuff to do it. And I'm like, bro, just go ahead and tell her what the freak happened. And he asked her, did she know about a girl named Miho? And technically she tells him that while she was in the bestial forest, she was dreaming, and while she was dreaming, the bestial was basically acting out her dream. So the bestial became Miho and actually acted out a dream of her being a beautician, because Natsumi wanted to be a beautician. So guess what? Miho was a beautician. So we find out a little bit more lore on the bestials, that they act on whatever person they're possessing's dreams, which is probably why when they take possession of you, they'll start to do like the stuff that you basically did. Like they'll take on your job, or they'll act out something that you actually like to do, which was how it was with Taro. When Taro was possessed, the bestial that possessed him basically started working and doing his delivery stuff. So that starts to make some sense. It starts to see why this whole bestial in Miho and Natsumi thing kind of went together, stuff like that. So we end up seeing that they tried to come up with different plans to basically defeat Tsuyoshi and the other two Cerebrand, and they seem to just can't find a way to really get along like that. And we get some one-on-ones between certain characters, and they keep throwing they just keep throwing shots at Kijino, like they don't care about Kijino, like they don't care that Kijino also got captured, which is not the first time he got captured, but they throw in hints and stuff like they don't care. But everybody's like, hey man, like I can understand Kijino get captured, but Taro, how did Taro get captured like that? So when Taro got captured, we see that his sword was left behind, and we saw that when they ran off, we saw Sonoe pick up Taro's sword. So he has Taro's sword throughout the episode. Also, we see what the boy Jiru is actually going through. Jiru has finally become like his true self. Him and Don Totobolt have basically fused together, and he basically has become his true self. He ends up getting sort of a new outfit, and his hair is slicked back now. So yeah, we see that even Totobolt tells him that how long are you gonna sit there and like cry about this stuff, like I've been there for you the whole time, and you've been there for me, and it's time for us to become one. and they end up fusing together and becoming one person again. So I wonder if that's going to affect anything. I mean, I know it's going to affect stuff, but I wonder if he's stronger from this. I'm wondering, like, when he transformed to his Dragoku form, will he be able to switch into his Totalbolt form without changing personalities? That's also a thing. So we'll see that most likely in the next episode, because he actually is going to transform in the next episode, because we saw that Jiru hadn't transformed in like 4 to 5 episodes. So it's nice to see the boy back in action, because he is my favorite character in this series. He is my favorite character. So we end up saying they actually try to come up with all these kind of plans to take out the other Sarah brand, and they're trying to figure out ways to work together, but they're not getting along. It's not clicking with them, and we see that they end up fighting the Sarah brand again. When they fight them again, we see that Haruka and Shinichi. No, it wasn't Shinichi. It was Haruka. She ends up getting Haruka ends up getting captured, and after she gets captured, it's just Shinichi and the other three Sarah brand when they all get captured. When Haruka gets captured. So now they come up with a different plan to basically, we see that Sonoi has kind of figured them out, essentially, saying that, once they've known that they're going to beat us, essentially, that they're actually going to get too confident and too cocky with themselves, and they're just going to play around with us. While that's happening, we see that the other two Hitotsuki, the couple Hitotsuki, they are basically looking for each other, and they actually end up trying to reconcile with each other. But we see that the other three Sarah brand, Sonoichi, his three, they ended up stopping it, because if they reconcile with each other, then they'll turn back into humans. So they end up stopping them from turning into humans. We see that Sonoichi has like these little red darts that he shoots at them, and actually makes them enraged, and actually starts making them fight each other. So they decided, the rest of this team decided, we're going to come up with, we're going to have you guys fight the other Sarah brand while we end up fighting the Hitotsuki. Yeah, we saw that Tsubasa and Haruka. My bad. I'm so sorry. Tsubasa and Haruka got captured. So now it's just Shinichi and Sonoi and Sonoza. There's just them. So they came up with so basically we see that they end up going, the other three Sarah brands, Sonoichi, there's so many S's. Sonoichi, they end up going to the little eatery spot that Sonoi and the others like going to. And we see that Sonoi is actually working there, which is weird. But hey, they need money, because they end up spending all their money anyway. And we also saw that Sonoza ends up working at the cafe, because he doesn't have any money either. So he see that Sonoi's actually working there. He sees them coming, so he disguises himself as the old man. And actually starts talking like the old man as well. So they end up talking. So they end up getting a bunch. They end up getting a bunch of food, and sit there and start talking smack about the Donbros and Sonoi and his crew. And he ends up getting peed off. And then they see him. They see the disguise comes off, and then they see him there, and they end up Shinoichi ends up shooting him and sanitizing him with that white powder crap. So we see that Sonoi goes back to the cafe to basically figure out what their next move is going to be, and they come up with a plan to essentially get Sonoichi be able to want to take out the Hitotsuki, but if while him and the rest of the Sarah brand fight off Sonoichi. So he ends up giving Taro's sword to Shinichi. So they get ready to go through with the plan, and while he get ready to go through with the plan, and we see that Shinichi ends up sacrificing himself, because he says that I'm no good with blades. We also saw that how Shinichi had not Shinichi, but Tsuyoishi's crew has kidnapped the other two, basically has kidnapped the other Hitotsuki, and basically saying that the plan won't work like this. So they end up trying to go through with the plan still, but we see that Sonoi and Sonoza end up getting captured as well. So now it's just Shinichi and Sonoi. So Shinichi ends up fumbling the plan, because he ends up throwing the sword to Sonoi, telling him that I'm no good with swords, and it's best if you do it, because basically if you use Taro's sword to destroy the Hitotsuki, then you won't erase them. You won't erase them or delete them, and then we'll still be able to save everybody because you're using Taro's sword. So Shinichi ends up getting captured by the Hitotsuki, and that's when the boy Sonoi is left by himself, holding Taro's sword. So while he's holding Taro's sword, it planned like how it was before. How Sonoi said earlier that, hey, once they've known that they're getting ready to beat us, they're gonna start playing with us. They're gonna get too cocky. They're gonna get too confident. And that actually happens. And we see that he said, hey man, this isn't fair. How about we just fight them blindfolded? And they put on these 3 stupid looking blindfolds and just start swinging all around because they can't see him. So they just gave him the ultimate opportunity to take out the other 2 freaking Hitotsuki. So we see that Sonoi actually hinges up, and he uses Taro's sword and destroys the 2 Hitotsuki, freeing everyone. And frees everyone. And that's when everybody's like, yeah, we're good, we're back and whatever. And then that's where everybody hinges up. He gives Taro back his sword, and that's when everybody hinges up. And we end up fighting Sonoishi's crew. When they're fighting all of them, that's when Jiru actually shows up. And actually starts trying, and actually goes into his Megazord form. When we see that the 2 Hitotsuki actually ended up going into their giant forms, and we see that the rest of the Donbrothers go into they go into Megazord form. Taro's in Megazord form. Then they end up destroying the girl, destroying her one shot. And then when they destroyed Shinosuke, the guy who became that, they end up kind of overkilling it and turning into their Ultra Zord form and like overkilling him. And I'm just like, yeah, it was kind of, y'all beat him, but that was kind of overkill. And while they're fighting while the Donbrothers are fighting the Hitotsuki, we see the Cerebrand are fighting the Cerebrand, and we see that Sonoi's crew actually comes in and pulls through and actually defeats them. But he don't kill them or anything. They just defeat them, and they end up, getting up out of there. So we see that the Donbrothers have also won their battle and freed the 2 couples, and they end up reconciling with each other, and hopefully they have a happily ever after. So after that, we see that everybody goes back to the cafe. Everybody's kind of celebrating the fight and everything like that. And we see that Taro he's still there, but he's outside the cafe, and he's like, yeah, we did it. And then that's when Tsubasa comes up to him and tells him that, hey man, you kind of slick. You pretended to get captured. You pretended to get captured by the Hitotsuki, so everybody will be forced to work with each other. And he was like, yeah, and then Taro's like, I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing. And he's like, and Tsubasa's like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only person that noticed that. And that's when Sonoi actually comes out and sees him, and they smile at each other. And then that's the end of the episode. In the next episode, we're going to see possibly the final battle, and we see a bunch of guys in black robes and stuff like that. So most like in a big huge huge purple Hitotsuki. So hey man, this might be I don't know what is this the final episode? Maybe we got like maybe 1 or 2 more episodes after this. But yeah, man, this was a pretty good episode. I love that they tried to make everybody. It's one of those things where talking about working together isn't gonna work unless we are forced to work together and actually see how good of a team we can actually be. The whole thing with Sonoza and Haruka about the manga thing and stuff like that, he actually tells her that, hey, your manga actually has the power to make people happy, and I used your manga to capture Murasame, and she didn't know that. Of course she didn't know that, but she didn't know that, and he ends up telling her that because I captured him with those pages because I wanted Murasame to read it as well. So I'm like, oh, okay. Also, Murasame who? Because where is Murasame at this point? Like, I know he comes when Tsubasa calls him, but other than that, like, Murasame is like not around. I guess technically has nothing to do. He technically has nothing to do right now because of what, has happened. But hey, I'm gonna see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode, and remember, stay Kenshin.